The DOJ Inspector General has released the FISA report this week, and one of the big findings confirms that Hillary Clinton meddled in the 2016 election. President Trump also responded to the release of this report yesterday, calling it evidence of an attempted overthrow. President Trump said that Monday's Inspector General report on FISA abuse proves that the FBI fabricated evidence and lied to the courts. He went on to say it's a disgrace what's happened with the things that were done to our country. It's incredible, far worse than what I ever thought possible, President Trump told Republican senators and state officials who were meeting at the White House. They fabricated evidence and they lied to the courts, President Trump continued. He said, quote, "This was an attempted overthrow, and a lot of people were in on it, and they got caught." One of the biggest findings contained within Monday's FISA report by the DOJ Inspector General is the revelation that Fusion GPS, the firm paid by the Clinton campaign to produce the Steele dossier, was paying Steele to discuss his reporting with the media and elsewhere. There's one section from the report that reads, "Omitted information from Department Attorney Bruce Orr about Steele and his election reporting included that 1. Steele's reporting was going to Clinton's presidential campaign and others. 2. Simpson was paying Steele to discuss his reporting with the media. And 3. Steele was, quote, desperate that Donald Trump not get elected and was passionate about him not being the U.S. president." When did Steele talk with the media, which got him fired as an FBI source? September of 2016, roughly 6 weeks before the election. One of the more damaging articles to result from these meetings was authored by Yahoo News journalist Michael Isikoff, who said in an interview that he was invited by Fusion GPS to meet a secret source at a Washington restaurant. This article included a bunch of fake information meant to smear the president. Isikoff's article claimed that former Trump campaign aide Carter Page, quote, had opened up private communications with senior Russian officials, including talks about the possible lifting of economic sanctions if the Republican nominee becomes president. Meanwhile, even Robert Mueller had to eventually admit that these media reports meant to smear the president were completely bogus. The allegation was found by special counsel Robert Mueller in his report to be false. Moreover, the FBI knew about it in December of 2016 when DOJ number 4, Bruce Orr, told the agency as much. Another quote from page 165 of the newly released FISA report reads, quote, "Steele told us that in September of 2016, her and Simpson gave an off-the-record briefing to a small number of journalists about his reporting." They added that Steele acknowledged that Yahoo News was identified in one of the court filings in the foreign litigation as being present. Put another way, Hillary Clinton paid Christopher Steele to feed information to the mainstream media in order to harm Donald Trump right before the 2016 election. Granted, there were intermediaries. The Clinton campaign paid law firm Perkins Coie, which paid Fusion GPS, which paid Steele. And if asked, we're guessing Clinton would claim that she had no idea this happened, which, quite frankly, simply isn't plausible given the stakes. Whatever the case, the act of Simpson paying Steele to peddle fiction to the media for the purpose of harming President Trump by itself constitutes blatant election meddling by every standard set by the left over the past 3 years. A lot of other details in the report on what the FBI was doing. President Trump calling it evidence of an attempted overthrow. There's also some very interesting reactions from Attorney General William Barr and John Durham, who is leading an investigation, a still ongoing investigation, into other Obama officials. Attorney General William Barr said the report, quote, now makes clear that the FBI launched an intrusive investigation of a U.S. presidential campaign on the thinnest of suspicions that, in my view, were insufficient to justify the steps taken. And also, this response from U.S. Attorney John Durham, who is running a concurrent investigation into the 2016 election for Attorney General Barr, was a huge update in that investigation recently, as it was learned that Durham is investigating multiple Obama-era officials, including the former CIA Director John Brennan and former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. One of the most contentious parts of this report released yesterday was Horowitz's framing of the FBI investigation against President Trump as not being driven by bias. So it's very interesting that John Durham already seems to be disagreeing with the parts of Horowitz's report that try to defend or make excuses for the FBI. John Durham isn't buying it, possibly a good sign, as Durham is leading this still ongoing separate investigation into Obama officials, big names like John Brennan. This is what Durham had to say about the FISA report. John Durham said, quote, I have the utmost respect for the mission of the Office of Inspector General and the comprehensive work that went into the report prepared by Mr. Horowitz and his staff. However, our investigation is not limited to developing information from within component parts of the Justice Department. Our investigation has included developing information from other persons and entities, both in the U.S. and outside of the U.S., based on the evidence collected to date. And while our investigation is ongoing, last month we advised the Inspector General that we do not agree with some of the report's conclusions as to the predication and how the FBI case was opened. Republican Mark Meadows posted this on Twitter, saying, I just got out of a nearly 2-hour briefing on the IG report. It is deeply disturbing. Some former FBI and DOJ officials are about to have some serious explaining to do. More details to come shortly. He followed up saying, and after reading this, it's no wonder we've been seeing defensive leaks in the New York Times and CNN, and that the Democrats rushed to hold an impeachment hearing the same day. It's every bit as bad as advertised, and certainly worse than the media has been suggesting. Republican Jim Jordan also responding to the report, saying, we thought they spied on 2 Americans. We now know it was 4. The Inspector General's report confirms what many of us feared. James Comey's FBI ignored guidelines and rules in spying on President Trump's campaign in 2016. We now know that within 1 week of the investigation opening, the FBI was surveilling the campaign and 4 specific individuals associated with it. They also mention how the IG report identified 17 significant inaccuracies or omissions in applications for FISA warrants. Those inaccuracies resulted in, quote, applications that made it appear that the information supporting probable cause was stronger than was actually the case. One final quote again from Attorney General Barr criticizing the FBI following the release of this report. Attorney General Barr said, quote, in the rush to obtain and maintain FISA surveillance of Trump campaign associates, FBI officials misled the FISA court, omitted crucial and exculpatory facts from their findings, and suppressed or ignored information negating the reliability of their principal source. The Inspector General found the explanations given for these actions unsatisfactory. So, what do you think about this confirmation of Clinton's meddling in the 2016 election and working with the mainstream media to do so? Or any of the other responses to the release of this report, including President Trump calling it evidence of an attempted overthrow, John Durham making some very interesting comments, again, giving the ongoing investigation that he is leading into Obama officials. Please leave a comment. Tell me what you think. If you could give this video a thumbs up, that is greatly appreciated. I will follow up as new information comes out. Thanks again.